Hi everyone, for this lesson we'll take a look at parallel lines. And we know that parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, what does that mean? Well, let's say we have these two equations. Let's say we have y equals 3x plus 2 and y equals 3x minus 4. Right? So from the look of it, we know that the slope for the first equation, the m, is 3, and the slope for the second equation, the m, is also 3. So when we have two lines or two equations with the same slope, then we know that they are parallel to each other, which means that the lines will never cross. Okay? Okay, so now let's graph both equations. So the first one here, y equals 3x plus 2, let's graph that one. We'll start at 2, we'll go up 3 units and 1 unit to the right because the slope is 3. Same thing here, up 3 over 1. Okay, after you make the line, connecting the dots, it's going to look something like this. And now let's work on the other one, the second equation, y equals 3x minus 4. So this time the y-intercept is negative 4, so you're going to go down to negative 4 on the y-axis. And again, we're going to go up 3 units and 1 over to the right. Up 3 and 1 over to the right. Okay? After connecting the dots, we have this blue line here, and as you can see, the pink line and the blue line will never cross. We refer to those lines as parallel to each other. Perpendicular lines, on the other hand, have opposite reciprocal slopes. Alright, what that means is this. Let's say you have this equation here, y equals 1/2 x plus 5. Okay, we know that the slope of this line is 1/2. Okay, so let's rewrite another equation, y equals negative 2 over 1x plus 7, say. Okay, so now the slope for this line is negative 2 over 1. So therefore we have a slope here which is 1/2, right? This is 1/2, and the slope of this one is the negative reciprocal or the opposite reciprocal, right? Because we reciprocated 1/2, we made it to 2 over 1, and we take the negative of that, okay, or the opposite sign. So initially it was positive, now it's negative. Alright, so whenever that happens, then you would have two lines that are perpendicular to each other. So these two equations, when we graph them, they will be perpendicular to each other. Okay? Okay, let's graph these two equations here. Let's graph the first one using this color. We're going to start off at 5. Right, on the y-axis, because the y-intercept is 5. And the slope is 1/2, so I'm going to go up 1 unit and over 2. Up 1 unit and over 2. Okay, so after connecting the dots, we have this line here. Alright, now let's graph the other equation. Let's use blue. We're going to start off at 7, which is way up here on the y-axis. And the slope is negative 2 over 1, so we'll go down 2 and over 1. Down 2 or 1 to the right. Okay, down 2 over 1. So after connecting the dots, we have this blue line here. And you notice that the green line and the blue line, they cross, but they cross at a point and they make a 90-degree angle. Okay, so this is 90 degrees all the way around. Right, so whenever that happens, we refer to these two lines as perpendicular lines, right? And it's represented by these two equations here. And we know that one of the equations has a slope of 1/2 and the other equation has a slope that is the opposite reciprocal of the previous slope, which is negative 2 or 1, right? So we look at the slope here, it's 1/2, and this one here is negative 2 over 1, right? So we have two lines that are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so let's recap here. If two lines are parallel to each other, that means that the two slopes are the same, so M1 will equal M2. M1 being the slope of the pink line, and M2 being the slope of the blue line. Okay, now if we have two lines that are perpendicular to each other, then one of the slopes will be M1, and the slope of the second line will be negative 1 over M2. Hence the two slopes are opposite reciprocal of one another, and that indicates that the two lines are perpendicular, which means they cross and they make a 90-degree angle. Okay, and we're done and we're happy.